Welcome everybody. This is a BAKERpedia seminar all about cookie production. I'm Mark Florka, your host for today, and this seminar is brought to you by KPM Analytics. KPM Analytics is a global leader in scientific instrumentation, focused primarily on analyzing critical quality parameters for food producers. They provide a comprehensive range of products and services uniquely to solve our customers' problems at every stage of production. It's also made possible by BAKERview. BAKERview specializes in the agricultural and industrial production of chia seeds and chia ingredients. Their BAKERview chia powder 435WLM offers a number of applications to improve the nutritional composition of bakery products. High and healthy natural fiber and gluten-free protein, this cost-efficient functional ingredient gives bread's nutritional profile an instant boost. Today, we are joined by Andrew McGhie of KPM Analytics. Andrew has over 30 years of experience in the bakery industry. He joined the bakery industry in Australia in 1987, working for the largest baking company in Australia as part of the Goodman Fielder Group. He worked in many positions in the bakeries and at the corporate level in Sydney. In the US, he has worked with the Northeast Foods and McDonald's, US and Europe. Andrew then worked for iPro Inspection Systems for bakery products for 10 years, heading up the North American operations before joining Schaefer Mixers, part of the Bundy Group, where he now heads up the sales team. Andrew has rejoined iPro Systems, which is now part of the KPM Analytics Group, which includes such iconic bakery equipment brands such as Chopin, SensorTech, Process Sensors, Sightline, and Unity. Andrew has a Bachelor of Business degree from the University of Technology in Sydney, Australia, and he lives in wonderful Kansas City, Missouri with his family. Remy Reguero of BAKERview. Remy is BAKERview's technical director with 20 years in R&D in the food industry, half of it at BAKERview, designing chia ingredients and developing applications, implementing those worldwide. His technical and commercial experience and his passion for chia make him a technical chia guru. Andrew and Remy will now share a presentation on cookie production.
So welcome everybody. I just want to talk about cookie production and how one of KPM's capabilities will be able to maybe help you in that task. So let's tell the story of cookie production, and let's start at the end. So we have a finished cookie here. We have worked very hard. We have sourced the best ingredients. We have the best process. We have the best people, and now we want to send those products to our customer. How do we know whether the products are meeting our customers' requirements and our quality specifications? So there are a lot of key attributes for the product, and obviously taste and texture is primary. Other attributes we have are appearance, shape, looking at the appearance of the product. Is there imprints on it? We need to make sure that the dimensions meet specification, bake color, the height of the product, and looking at toppings and inclusions as well. So typically now, to look at product attributes, I'm sure you, somewhere in your facilities, you have a station like this. So you might have an NIR meter to check moisture. You'll have a caliper where you're measuring product. Might have a scale where you're weighing product. And here's a caliper here that they're using to check the stack height of the product. You're probably sampling product periodically every 15 to 20 minutes and looking at, how does those specifications, you're probably completing a run chart or entering it into a statistical package to see how you're going as far as your production process parameters. And then you're probably also doing a final quality check as well. So when the product is packed, you're opening packs, You're doing some evaluation of the product there, and probably doing some shelf life evaluations later on as well. So KPM has a vision department, a vision business, where we can maybe provide some tools that may be able to help with that process. So what we're doing as far as vision goes, we're using high resolution cameras. We can inspect the top and the bottom of the product. And we can also measure the height of the product as well. We have online systems and offline systems. So the online systems can be measuring 100% of the products as they come off the production line. The offline systems can also be used for sampling as well. The inspection statistics, so your trends on, height or length and width, bake color, are reported real time on the online systems. And also the data can be saved and reports generated. And we can also complement a vision system with an NIR meter to be able to measure the moisture of the products on the production line as well. So the first tool I'd like to introduce you to is our standalone vision system. So this is an offline unit where you can actually inspect products offline by just putting them on the conveyor. The system has a series of color and 3D camera where it can actually measure the product, collate those results, and generate a report. You can also have a scale mated to that, so you're actually weighing the product. So what that allows you to do is to automate the process of sampling. And the good thing about that is I now don't have to teach somebody how to use a caliper the same way all the time. I don't have to worry about whether it's Mark, Remy, or Andrew doing the measurements. They're going to be consistent because it's an objective tool that can measure the product.
And I want to add there that objectivity is very important. Oh, here
So what I'm
we
going
get
to do,
a video.
yeah, I'm just trying to get a video here, but I just want to show you part of the video. So let me see if I can drag it forward. I can't. So that's a bit unfortunate. I'm going to go on to the next slide. Actually, all I was trying to show you there that all the person is required to do is to put the product on the conveyor belt, and then the cameras will do the work, take the measurements, and then store the data and display the data in real time. Okay, then we also have our online inspection systems. So you can see here's an example of two systems on different cookie lines, biscuit lines. The one on the right is using, they're both using similar architecture, so color cameras and 3D cameras. But the one on the right actually is using bottom inspection as well. So there we're looking at the bottom of the product as well as the top of the product. And we also have a rejection mechanism on here. So as the operator of the system, you can set tolerances for what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And you have a total power over that. If you select, and you can select what criteria that you want to making a decision about accepting or rejecting a product. So it's totally within your control. And if a product, as it's expected, we take a color camera image, a 3D camera image, and then a bottom color image, process the images. If the attributes that you're wanting to measure that product on and accept or reject the product on are met, the product goes through to packaging. If, however, the product does not meet the specification, then it's rejected. But a picture is worth 1,000 words. Let me show you a video of the system in operation. So here you have the product coming out of the oven. And then you can see right here that we have the laser line there with the 3D camera. And then we have the rejection mechanism here. So you have the color camera, top and bottom, and then the laser, which is a 3D camera. And then any product that's not acceptable is going to be rejected onto this transverse conveyor. There's an array of air nozzles under here. And the advantage of that, it allows us to do inspection and rejection of lots of different shaped products, size products on that same line and be able to reject just the product that needs to be rejected. This other system,
very cool.
the other system I'll show you here is, this is again using similar technology. This one does not have bottom inspection, but in this case, the customer didn't want to do rejection. They just wanted to be able to use the system to monitor their process and fine tune their process. And here is some graphics showing you what the interface looks like on real time on the screen. So you're getting trend graphs, you get statistics on how many products have been inspected, how many have been rejected. And then you've also got the we also save images of those that are classified as rejection, so you can see why they're being rejected. The architecture that we're looking at in all these systems is this here. So we have the conveyor belt, we have the high resolution color camera, the LED lighting system, the 3D profile camera with the laser that gives you the height measurements, and then we have the camera below. Now these are line scan cameras, so what they're doing is grabbing one row of pixels at a time. That's why we just need a small gap in the conveyor. As the product goes across, the line scan camera grabs one row of pixels, and from that can put together the whole image of the product. Okay, let's talk about the production process. You guys know it better than I do. You know, ingredients, mixing, sheeting, molding, baking of the product. You might have an RF baking oven after that, depending on the product. Cooling, you might be filling the sandwiches, you know, like an Oreo type product, and then you're packaging them. So how can we help you with vision throughout that process? So what we have here is what we call our vision process control, and that allows us to be able to monitor different steps in the production process. So after the forming line, you can have an inspection system there. It won't be able to do rejection, but it can certainly monitor all the way across the line. So you can see lots of different issues that may occur. After the oven, we can have another vision system to look at bake color. And then at packaging or after cooling, we can have another inspection system. This is an example of actually vision feedback loops where we're using a vision system to feed back to the actual forming part of it, to the actual process itself. So in this case, after forming, you have a 3D camera that's measuring the thickness of the sheeting. It can measure the shapes. It can measure lots of different things, the indentation, any imprinting. And if that's not working properly, we can send signals automatically back to the forming equipment so they can adjust the level of the rollers, or it can adjust the speed of the conveyors to get more round shapes. So that's a very powerful tool and what we're doing a lot of these days. And then the same in the baking. So we have a vision system after baking. It's just a simple color camera that's looking at the product as it comes out of the tunnel oven. And again, measuring color by individual product, but looking across the line and then sending some feedback back to the oven. And let me show you another slide on that one here. So this is actually the oven feedback loop where you as the customer decide, okay, what's acceptable, what's too light, what's too dark, and we measure color in lots of different ways on the top of the product and the bottom of the product. But on the top of the product, we measure the body of the biscuit, of the cookie, and we measure the edge, because as you guys know, the edge is the first indication that it's getting to be fully baked. So using this automated system here we had the manual system operating once it runs into an automated system, we can actually keep the system between these two zones automatically, minimizing waste and reducing cost and improving quality. Now, with all vision systems, the most important thing is actually the data, not necessarily rejection. It's the data. So when we were sampling products on the line, we used to take a dozen products every 15 minutes. So we thought we understood what the range of the variation was, what the process capability was of our production line. But when we went to 100% inspection, so we were getting every product being inspected, it kind of blew our mind, because we started to see, oh my gosh, our range is much wider than we thought it was going to be. But at least we had a hard data to base that information on. And what that allowed us to do was also to now optimize our process to improve the quality of the finished product. For example, in buns, we found that we were getting a 20-minute cycle of darker buns and then lighter buns, darker buns, then lighter buns. And what we found was from the beginning to the end of the dough, we had some difference in height of the product, therefore the proximity to the heat, therefore closer to the heat, darker, look further away from the heat, lighter. So what we ended up doing as a result of that was running smaller batches more often, and that we still had some variation, but it was much less and much more manageable. So that's where the data can be very useful. And we have lots of tools, real time, you see the information, but then we have tools as well where you can analyze the data and query the data afterwards. And you can also have screens up in the facility so that people can see what's going on real time, based on what they do in the forming area, how does that affect the finished product quality? And then I just wanted to cover off another area which is going to be a powerful tool, and is going to be a more powerful tool, is artificial intelligence. You hear it, it's a buzzword, it's everywhere, but we're using it a lot in our systems, and in our sister company, Smart Vision Works, are using it dramatically to be able to detect foreign material. Simple, straightforward vision is very good for detecting foreign material and different like, for example, a spot of a glove on the top of a product or something like that, because there's a totally different color. But where the foreign material is very similar in color, so for example, wood on a brown cookie or on a pizza, very hard to see because it is it is very similar in color. So using AI, it's a very powerful tool that can help enhance the defect detection. So we've been working a lot on that as a way in the future. Another thing where AI can really be helpful is like where you're doing die cut products in lots of different shapes. You might think that's very hard for a system to be able to measure and evaluate, but it's very easy. It's using AI from a shape recognition point of view. So for example, in this situation here, the system can see that this is a fish, but it can see that, okay, the fish is missing a tail, so therefore that's a defect. But even though you're producing all these different shapes at the same time, the system can detect and understand that.
Well, for everybody, BAKERview is a company that is specialized on chia, 100%. We have been in the chia business for more than 20 years, producing chia for the first time in South America. And we developed around 2016 the first, let's say, chia, 100% chia plant to elaborated ingredient for specific application. And today we're going to be talking about one of our ingredient that has been designed especially for the bakery cookie snack application, which is go very well with the trend. So the first thing that we all have to understand is how it is moving forward the food on the cookie industry. We know that cookie, and everybody know that, is all about indulgence and convenience. Okay, the cookie industry is treat, comfort, and experience. The consumer looking for that when they're consuming cookies, can be savory or sweet. Now we have a new generation that is coming to the marketplace, right? Which is a generation Z, which is more focused on low sugar, gluten-free, additive-free, clean label, as well as sustainable. And they are now starting to be the one of the most important segment in the cookie, which is normally the age between 18 to 24, 30, 28 years old, where they have a large consumer of cookies just as a treat, but also for convenience on the go, which is very important. So if we have seen in the industry in the last, let's say, 3 to 4 years, we have seen a trend in basically personal cookies, a growth demand for healthy cookies or healthy products, as well as a high demand on sustainability, not only on the recipe ingredient that we use, but as well as the packaging and the process. Okay, so with this rising, also we have seen rising in the purchasing power of the consumer, which are willing to spend more money on high quality ingredients of a healthy ingredient. Okay. Now, in terms of the industry challenge, we have today also a lot of new companies, startup being more innovative, more thinking out of the box, bringing new applications and solution for the market, as well as the preference of the better for you, healthy, consumer health. And also we have seen, and what we all know that everybody is this week in Middle East or this today doing the COP, right? Which is everybody, all the government is pushing a lot of pressure on more nutrient, healthier, and also environmental process and sustainable options. Okay, so I can say that now the cookie is moving through a more taste indulgent, but still healthy, better for me, better for the planet solution. Okay, and at BAKERview we have designed a product that is focused on that in order, and this is a BAKERview chia powder 435 WLM, which is a deep-fried millet chia, specially designed from white chia seed, especially for the color, under 435 micron, which is USA 40 mesh. This is the idea of having a powder that can help you to have a more sustainable and nutritional ingredient in your formulation. Okay, the chia, we all know chia seed is super healthy, but this flour, chia powder 435, contains 56% fiber, both soluble and insoluble, about 90% insoluble fiber and 10% soluble fiber. It contains 25% protein of high biological value, about a PDCAS of 0.85, and it contains 5% of omega-3 ALA. Okay, the great thing of this powder is that also contain a lot of mineral like calcium, but also contain a lot of antioxidant, which make that flour very resistant to heat process. So it can withstand any cooking, baking temperature, and still be stable with a beautiful flavor, like a very small, light walnut type of flavor, grassy, that go very well with any, let's say, ingredient that today are very trend. Like, well, we always know chocolate is very popular in cookie, but chia and chocolate go very well as well with almonds, walnut, hazelnut. They combine very good. So this ingredient is good for keto bakery, gluten-free, allergen-free, and other nutritional application. Okay, and also it's sustainable because it's made in our plant where we only use electrical power. So there's no water use or no, let's say, fuel use in the process. So we have a lot of experience working with our customer worldwide. BeneXS is present in North America, Europe, and Asia, as well as Oceania, where Andrew comes from, where it's very famous, the chia. And we have done the different development in the quiz-free bake, soft bake application, gluten-free, and low-carb keto application. Okay, so today I want to share you two different. I'm going to be more focusing on the gluten-free, just to provide you what is the benefit of the chia powder on both the soluble and insoluble fiber in order to enhance your recipe. So one of the applications that we have done is to develop a chocolate chip, but gluten-free. So when you don't have gluten, you need to have some, let's say, hydrocolloid or fiber that help you to bind your ingredient together. So you have a good moisture and a good crumb on your product. In this case, we have used in egg, but also chia powder in order to bind your cookie dough and have a product that not only bring you a good soft texture, but also can relieve you nutritional. Okay, by using chia powder, you can increase the fiber content, which is delivering more fiber to your product, but also continue help you to deliver protein on it. It can be for gluten-free, hard, because you can add also additional has an inclusion chia seed, which will bring you a little bit more of omega-3 in your application. Okay, and it's everything focused on the nutrition. Now that binding of the chia flour help you, so whenever you have to raise, or you're doing, let's say, low moisture cookie or even soft cookie or soft baked cookie, is help you to give you that swinging texture. Okay. Another application that is very important that we showed here. Now here, this is application that where we developed a product, but we decide to focus on plant-based. So not using egg as a protein to help you for the product, for only using chia flour as the only binder, and for clean label declaration. So in here you could see we use different type of flour, oat, rice, potato starch, okay, and chia flour together in order to bind the whole product on it, okay, and that give you another option that you can do gluten-free, plant-based as well. You can do let's say keto applications with high in protein and so on. Okay, so why we recommend chia powder in the bakery application is that when you, let's say you're working on gluten-free application, or you want to work on clean label application, you need to have something to help you to bind. And now chia powder 435 is a clean sustainable application that help you to bind your dough and get the elasticity that you want to achieve. Now, we normally recommend to work in the range of 5 to 10%, depending how much binding you need on your product. And then you can combine it with any type of starch or other type of nut or seed flour, for example, for the keto application. But once you use the chia powder for 35, you're gonna have to because it absorbs a lot of water, you're gonna have to add a little bit more water. Normally up to 5 to 10%, the same percentage that you add of chia flour, you add it on the total water content. Let's say if your formula have, let's say 100 milliliter of water per X amount, then you're gonna have to add the percentage, let's say 105 milliliter of water. Then it's also help you to eliminate or reduce any hydrocolloid that you use in your formulation. Like for example, xanthan gum is excellent to replace xanthan gum because the soluble fiber in chia, in this chia powder for 35, behave very similar to xanthan gum. It but whenever you're using high fiber ingredients, whenever you are doing, let's say, dough or keto application with high fiber, and very heavy, you have to reduce the mixing time, right? You have to reduce the speed of mixing, but also increase the working time, just to allow these fibers to absorb the maximum water and also give them a little bit more resting. Once you have that, let's say that dough with the elasticity, then the process is straight away. Your thermal process is going to be the same, your whole cooking process or freezing process, and then cooking process is going to be the same one, okay? And once I always recommend to all my customers and clients that once you start with 5%, then you can, you know how to work in your formula system, then you can increase to 10%, and then you're going to have a high fiber, high protein, high omega-3 product, okay? So we want to invite you to visit Benexia. You can visit our webpage, communicate with us anytime that somebody wants to work with, or our customer want to work with any formulation. We always recommend them to have a meeting with us just to understand what they are looking for. So we give them the tip, because we have done a lot of application like muffin, pasta, beverage application, cookies application, bread, all type of bread, keto bread, gluten-free bread. So you are welcome for the production. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Remy. Yeah, and I can echo that in that you guys put great formulas together. You work with people in industry in helping to develop those formulas. And in some cases, you even have ready-made mixes for some parts of the world that you can sell to, where it's just add water and eggs or things like that, right? And those are fantastic as well.
In cookie, I recommend Maria to use between 2 to 5%. Start with 2%, get it know it first, and then you will increase to 5, and finally you're going to reach the 10%, which is the top of the top. It's very simple. I mean, just remember that you need to slow down your mixing process, slow down mixing, a little bit more time of mixing in order to absorb water. You have to add a little bit more water. Make sure that the chia fiber allow you to pick up water, because at the end it's going to be also cost saving. Because actually it's what we say in the bakery, right? Whenever you use fiber, you use more water, and then you're going to have a product. I mean, the cost of the water, it's going to pay for the fiber, right? And then you're going to have more nutrition. But just remember that this water is going to be entrapped in or binded with the fiber, the soluble fiber. So the water activity is going to be low. It's not going to, you're not going to have a high water activity. It's going to have more moisture, but you're going to have a low water activity. So your shelf life is not going to be a problem. So start with 2%, eliminate your hydrocolloid. Of course, you need to use baking powder in order to have that softness. but try it at 2% and it's gonna work pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the higher you go, the better your nutrition will be, but start off to understand the functionality, because you have 56% fiber and 24% protein, and they take up a lot of water. But the good news is that for shelf life, the fiber in the chia binds the water, so it keeps your water activity low.
Yeah, vision systems can be anywhere through the line. So if you're selling, and we have systems installed where you might be just having cookie balls or cookie pucks, and absolutely, yeah, it can be installed there. And even depending on where you do the inspection, you know, sometimes they're frozen before they're packed, and so after freezing, you can even do a rejection. For a dough piece, it's a little bit tougher to do a rejection. We can still do it, but again, it depends on the product. But
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, any stage through the process.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, if you want to make sure that your pucks are a certain shape and dimension and stuff, that would be ideal. Yeah, that would be excellent. Especially if it's on a wire cut system of some kind, then they can be a little bit inconsistent sometimes.
Yes, correct. I mentioned before that the 435 has a high water absorption, which is around 29 to 30, which is the typical value, and then the absorption is up to 30 to 31. Okay, so yes, I mean, it's a lot of water, as I mentioned before. So in cookie, you know, you will not go to the maximum amount, of course, but let it rest, let it get at the time, because it's gonna absorb your water, and that's gonna make you a good elasticity on it. Okay. Actually, what we're gonna do when you absorb that water is it's gonna keep the water activity low. So the most important here is to get the water activity low. Now, for shelf life, is everything is not only about the product, because the product when it go out of the line is basically sterilized, is baked. It's more the end product and process that you have to guarantee. So remember, you need to have a good packaging system. You need to have a good, clean factory. That will help you even more than so the water activity is going to be one part, but also you need to have a good, clean process in order to have a longer shelf life. So
Yeah.
don't worry about the chia adding issue on your microbiology. It's going to keep it low, and actually the product is sterilized, so the product don't have any enzymatic issue or fermenting for the yeast or mold. But also please remember that in process is very important the packaging, which is the one that is going to protect your product through the whole shelf life in the market and in the retail.
Yeah, I like to say, like, also chia is it's going to help you with texture characteristics to retard staling, so you won't get the cookies firming up too fast. Yeah, that kind of shelf life is going to help extend it a little bit. But in the end, like you said, the chia itself is sterilized. When the cookie comes out of the oven, it's sterilized. So it's really, cleanliness is next to godliness. You know, it's everything you do with that cookie when after it comes out of the oven. That is going to be the most important thing beyond any preservatives or anything else like that. Because you could throw a ton of calcium propionate on it, but if you have dirty air coming into the cooling area, it's not going to help any. You're still going to get mold. Right?
Yeah, and one point that you mentioned, Mark, that's good is the fact that the soluble fiber in chia is gonna extend the texture of your product,
Softness. Yep.
so you're gonna have less deglutination. Okay, what we say in bakery, right? When we lost that moisture, because it bind very strong the water and do not release it. I mean, it's very strong binding in
Yep.
water.
Yep.
Absolutely. It would not be possible for a very small cookie to be able to see the bottom of a cookie, because it would be so small that it would not be able to traverse the gap very smoothly. But as far as imaging, yeah, we can see very small things and very large things. If it's on a conveyor, we can see it and we can measure it and measure it very accurately too. I might say, 0.1 millimeter accuracy. So even a very small thing, and that's especially true with cookies, like compared to bread, for example, height of cookies is very important because, if you have 20 cookies in a pack, if it's a 0.1 millimeter difference, that can make a big difference to the pack size. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So small products, very accurately measured. Yeah, small is not a problem. It's just a matter if it's on a conveyor, we can see it and we can measure it.
No, it's gonna be actually you're gonna first the chia powder for 35 is the most cost-effective chia ingredient that you can find in the market. It's actually cheaper than the chia seed itself. And the second part is that you will add more water, so you will not add. You will eliminate your stabilizer. You're gonna add more water. At the end, the cost is zero.
It ends
You're
up being
gonna
cost neutral.
gain.
Yep.
It's cost neutral. That's what I say. And think about that. You have to reduce the stabilizer, which today like what $4, $5 a kilo, which is in the state it would be like what $2.5 a pound or so.
Mhm.
Yeah, chia powder in the market you can find in the United States under the $2.5 a pound. So yeah, it's going to be cost.
Yeah, because you in a sense you use whatever you're replacing, as far as, like, say, if you're taking some flour out or starches to put chia in to make it more nutritional, the chia seed is perhaps maybe pound for pound a little bit more than the starch, but you use less to begin with, first of all. And then secondly, you're taking up more moisture, so you're reducing the overall batch cost and impact, and you're eliminating things like xanthan gum or other emulsifiers. So it ends up being cost neutral. And in some cases, it even can be cost beneficial. I've done some formulas where it actually ends up being slightly less expensive by making a nutritious product out of chia.
Yeah, and but it's I will say is added value. So
Yep,
normally
exactly. Yep.
you have to think that
It's like, why do we put walnuts or things like that into things? The
exactly
same reason. I
or
mean, we're
chocolate chip.
adding value.
In,
Yep.
no, yeah,
Yep.
it's adding value and nutritional
Yep.
reinforcements. I have some experience, and we have even product in the market. There's a Canadian-based company that actually they do sell cookie. Their claim is allergen-free, a clean label, sustainable, right? And you don't find their product saying chia, and they actually use that chia powder in order to replace all the gums, the hydrocolloids. So they are not using Samsung gum, guar gum, CMC, none of them. It's just in the formula. When you go to the ingredient list, they only say ground chia flour, and it's within the blend of flour. And then baking powder is the only word that we say that is, like a
A chemical. Yep.
not 100% natural.
Yep.
And I mean, it's just amazing that they even move to all the category of cookies. They have gluten-free cookies, they have all allergen-free keto cookies. I mean, amazing product in Canada. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely you can replace CMC, guar gum, xanthan gum. We done locust bean gum too in all your formulation. But you have to work on balancing your recipe and
Mhm.
your process, so you know how our ingredient will help you more in your specific product formulation. Because of course, everybody have their own cookie recipe. They are good, but you have to adapt it to your system.
Andrew, if I may, I was thinking, about when Remy we were talking about just now replacing some of the hydrocolloids. This is where the vision system can also be helpful in that R&D process, especially for the offline system where you can just put things on a belt and check it very quickly. Because part of that is again, of course, monitoring and checking these sizes in terms of, you talked about how the height of the cookie in terms of the packaging, but the height is also telling you how much the cookie is spreading or not spreading as well, which is also key to it fitting in the package properly, so it's not rattling around and breaking the edges off, and stuff. So this is it's all part and parcel of what we're talking about then, that your quality assurance systems, your check systems, having that vision system in place allows you to check it like this instantly, right? And you're collecting that data, you get an aggregation of data as you do your tests, so you can kind of see how things are progressing and if you're going in the right direction or not. So and it's so much quicker than lining up cookies on a ruler and measuring it, and then turning them a quarter turn and measuring it, and turning them a quarter turn and measuring it, and then doing the math and writing. I mean, by then you could have done 3 sets of cookies already on the machine, right? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. And and as I say, it's very objective, and you can also get a much larger sample size.
yeah.
So that okay, this is representative of what's going on.
You can, if you're doing a batch of like a test batch of 36 or 70 cookies, you can test them all quickly, not just 6 of them.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Rather than just picking some samples and looking at them, you can do the whole, and you can really see, now, is this really a difference or not? Whereas, picking 6, you might think it's a difference or not. And then you can also analyze the statistics as well. But on the online systems, that's what I really like, because you can literally make a change and then come back when that product's coming through and see very clearly, because we break the statistics to current the last 2 minutes, and then, since we started the production run. So you can see now, okay, has the diameter changed because I've used something that's made it the cookie lay down a little better, or something like that. Exactly what you're saying. You can quickly see objectively when you make a change to a recipe or formulation what the outcome is, and it's very good from that perspective.
Another thing that I just thought of is like, and I'll give you kind of my train of thought as I'm going here about sort of, I loved how you use the example of the bun and the bun height. Okay. So one of the things is what that speaks to is we need to be aware when we're looking at certain quality parameter issues. Like in the example you were using, is that some of the buns were getting too dark, and then it wasn't about an every 20-minute cycle. Does that mean that the oven is not recovering, or it's recovering too quickly? Or as I remember, my chef and my apprentice would say that the oven would flame up sometimes, right? I mean, in the old gas-fired ovens, we would get that sometimes, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Don't necessarily blame the color on the oven. There could be something else happening in the process. And by having something like a vision inspection in place that is monitoring it from, when it gets formed or deposited and stuff, and that you start to see, my buns or my cookies or whatever it is, they're coming out too tall, and that is exposing them too close to the radiant heat, and therefore they're getting brown quicker. And so I need to adjust my batch sizes or whatever it is that I need to adjust to get that under control, right? And again, the data gives you more information that way, right?
Right, exactly. You're getting sort of an objective measure. It's not subjective. I like to tell the story that when I was a bakery manager in Australia, and I came down, the product wasn't looking too good, and I said to the production manager, "Oh, this is not looking so good." And he said to me, "Yeah, don't worry, I'll take care of it." So I came back 2 hours later, and he said, "It looks a lot better now, doesn't it?" And I went, "Oh, I'm not really so sure." And we didn't have any real data to validate. Was he right or was I right? But to me, it just looked like it was the same stuff, just a little bit different.
Yeah.
So that's the really valuable tool that,
and again, the objectivity too, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And we have a customer that's using vision systems all the way through. They're forming a capped cookie, and they're actually using it such that they're trying to match the shape of the cap with the shape of the cookie, because it's filled in the middle. And so they're actually adjusting the speed of the conveyors and the rollers to get exactly the same shape on both pieces of equipment, so that when they come together, they match up perfectly. And it's very incredible the way you can do that. And obviously there's a huge amount of processing power and AI involved, but it's a really powerful tool now, because I don't have mismatched product. I have a better looking product. I'm not throwing away near as much as I would normally. So it's a very powerful tool for sure.
Yeah.
But as you say, there are different steps in the process that can all contribute to an outcome. You might think it's
Exactly.
one thing, but it
Yeah.
might be a combination of things. Really, we haven't met a challenge that we couldn't meet. So
Yeah.
typically with products, and cookies is one, especially where you can have a lot of cookies being produced, especially if they're small. You might have 10,000 or 5,000, coming through very quickly per minute. And so there's really, it's really not a limiting factor. We've been able to do everything. The only challenge you can have sometimes if you want to reject that product, being able to get that product off the line, just that one product, and allow the next one to come through nice and smoothly. It's a challenge, but again, we still haven't met a challenge that we haven't been able to solve. So I really don't think there's any limitation as far as kilograms per hour, pieces per minute, as far as inspecting.
Yeah, collecting the data, these informations gather data so fast, it's less than a blink of an eye. The projection is the challenging part. That's the making sure you have enough space in the line in the system to be able to blow it out or whatever, right? Yeah.
Correct, exactly, before the next one comes through. But again, we've always been able to resolve those problems when we see them. So yeah.